Hey there, I am getting ready to close down the pool for the season, and this has always been one of the worst parts, is getting our pool ladder removed. It always is stuck and takes a lot of effort. I put out a video last year of how I remove a stuck pool ladder, but this spring I was a bit more proactive. I took some steps that are hopefully going to allow this to slide out much easier. So I'm going to show you what I did and whether it actually worked. This is the sight that I've often seen when I go to remove my pool ladders and stair rails at the end of the season. It's white mineral buildup that forms after pool water evaporates, leaving behind mineral deposits, especially in saltwater or hard water pools. Over time, that calcium and sodium buildup can almost fuse the ladder posts to the anchors, making them really tough to pull out. And after the amount of hassle that I went through last year, which actually bent my pool ladder a little bit, I decided that this year something had to change. And I figured the best way was to do a little more prep work on the front end. This will hopefully help prevent the mineral buildup from starting in the first place, while also giving us a solution if we find ourselves in a similar situation where the ladder is somewhat stuck. So let's travel back to spring as I was opening up my pool. So we can see all the deposits and buildup along our steel railings here. And then here's the anchors. There's just a lot of gunk pretty much built up around it. So we're gonna go ahead and just get these prepped so we can get these reinstalled. First thing we're gonna do is just try to remove some of this sand and mineral buildup that is clogging up these anchors. Now what we're gonna do is just go ahead and use some CLR. So this is calcium, lime, and rust remover. Pour a little bit into our container here. This is really good for getting off mineral deposits. And I'd recommend wearing some sort of hand protection. I'm wearing nitrile gloves. CLR isn't super corrosive, but it could cause some irritation. To start, I've got some steel wool that I've dipped into the CLR, and I'm just gently scrubbing the inside of the post holes, trying to free up any of the remaining deposits. It's pretty much a metal ring that it's embedded in our concrete decking around the pool. And this is the first time I've ever cleaned any of these out. I'm starting with the stair rails, but I'll be moving on to the ladder in the same fashion. And then afterwards, I'm just going to do a quick rinse with some fresh water to clear away any of the CLR. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on our stainless steel, our ladders, our rails. We can see just how quickly this dissolves. CLR, it is safe for metals. It's used for kitchen sinks, cleaning bathrooms, so no concern here with our pool ladders. Really just a little bit of elbow grease, and this is just polishing up nicely. And we have a salt pool, so some of this could be sodium buildup as well. And then I'll give it a fresh rinse with some water. You can see that is much better than it was just a couple seconds ago. And this process can be repeated for any of the other anchor post holes or metal rails and ladders. And then the last thing that I wanted to make sure that I cleaned up was the actual anchor hardware. These are the wedge anchors with the bolts. We want to get these cleaned up. They are full of deposits. So I've got a little tub of CLR that I'm just going to drop them in, kind of agitate them around, shake them a bit, try to loosen up as much as we can. And it really doesn't take long to start seeing the metal shine through. And then just again, taking some of the steel wool, we can really polish it up and get some nice clean metal surfaces. Just look at how clean that has gotten. This is what is going to be in contact with the actual metal surface of the rail or the ladder. Nice and smooth, getting that built up all out of there. I end up just letting them soak in the CLR a bit, doing a bit more scrubbing, and then dumping them into a bucket of fresh water, get the CLR off, and we can see how cleaned up they are. And now we can move on to the second step. Now with everything cleaned up, I want to apply a lubricant that'll help ensure these don't get seized up again when I go to remove them in the fall. So I'm using Permatex Anti-Seize. This comes in different compounds and formulas. The one that I'm using has a mixture of aluminum, graphite, and copper. Now, there are nickel-based Permatex Anti-Seize solutions that are going to be even better for stainless, but they're also a lot more pricey. So I went with the cheaper version. This was about $9 at our local hardware store. I'm just applying a thin layer of the Anti-Seize. It actually has a built-in brush in the canister, making it easy to apply. And what this is going to do is provide a protective barrier so that the metal surfaces aren't going to corrode or bond together like I've dealt with in the past. And the key areas to apply this are going to be any of the metal components that are going to be in contact with each other. So this is the base of the rails and the ladders, and then also the bolts, the anchors, and then especially inside the anchor post holes where we have that metal ring that the posts are going to slide into. Then after applying the Anti-Seize, I can go ahead and start the installation process. I'll insert my wedge anchor and bolt into the post hole. Now from here on out, we can go ahead and just install our rails and ladders as we normally would. I go ahead, tighten down the bolts for the wedge anchors so that everything is nice and sturdy. So that is the process that I've taken to prep the ladders ahead of installation in the spring. It's really just a two-part process, the CLR for cleaning and the Anti-Seize for protection. Now we're going to jump ahead to fall to see if this actually made our job easier. After a fun pool season, it's time to remove the ladder. So I'm going to go ahead, remove our bolts just like we normally would. There is one bolt. So yeah, these just are coming up nice and easily from those anchors, the wedge anchors that are down below the deck. It definitely seems like the Anti-Seize did its job. It allowed these bolts to come out nice and smooth. So right there, that's a pretty early win. Time for the moment of truth. We've got our bolts removed. We are going to try to pull this ladder up without needing to use a jack. So it's definitely not just sliding right up. I can see there is some buildup still around the anchor posts, but I'm feeling just by putting a little force on it, I'm able to get it to loosen up. So we'll see kind of how that bodes as I try to lift. So this post right here definitely loosened up pretty easily. Even just looking here, I can see that I'm lifting it up and out. So just some wiggling and some upward force allows me to pull this side out. This side looks like it has a bit more bridging around here. So I'm gonna see if I can break that free just by wiggling it. So it's really hard to get this other one to break free from the post. I'm gonna try to apply a little bit of the CLR. This is what I'd use to kind of clean everything off before I put the equipment in. I get it down there to where it can help dissolve away any of the mineral deposits. There we go. So after applying a little bit of the CLR to the base, that has freed right up. So much easier than last year. So this was the post that was more stubborn. I had to apply some CLR, and you can see just how well that cleaned up just from the CLR alone. This is the one I didn't actually have to apply anything. It slid right out. I can just feel still that Anti-Seize on there. So even up where our post is pretty much right at the surface of our decking, you can see the mineral deposits here. So what I'm thinking might be best is making sure we go far enough up with our Anti-Seize when we go to install these but then still have the CLR on hand as we're going to remove these, because that will definitely break up any mineral deposits, as we can see here on this post versus here on this one, which is the one that I poured that CLR onto. Compared to last year, that ladder was so much easier to remove. Now let's go ahead and check out the stair rails. Give it a little twist. Got quite a few deposits on this post here. This other one feels much looser, but I'll go ahead, wiggle it a little more, try to pull it up. If it doesn't work, I'll go ahead and dump a little CLR on here. Some gentle wiggling. There we go, it is out. And a little bit of the anchor post come free. I think these were just really, had been eaten away at over the years. So this one came right out. I have never seen this before, but it looks like there's these large bolts that I'm assuming sit down in the post to kind of hold this rail in place. So I think this again is just something that over the course of time it's probably risen up from the ground a little bit, but we'll just keep that in there. So the stair rails were pretty easy to pull out without any additional assistance. Now I'm just going to go ahead, get these cleaned up, and we'll get them stowed away. I would consider our prep in the spring a huge success, and then even if we find we've got things sticking a little bit as we go to remove them in the fall, if you see that white mineral buildup or deposit around the base, I would recommend just pouring a little bit of CLR or some vinegar, some sort of acid, really just kind of eat away at those minerals, free things up, and it should slide out no problem. Hopefully you found this content useful, and hopefully it saves you from a sore back. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content around the pool and around the house. I'll see you next time.